Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I hope you guys are doing very well. If you do enjoy the content, drop that like and subscribe. As you guys know, it's the only thing that I ask. So today, inflation in the US CPI comes better than expected, both the core, which is considered excluding food and energy, which I find quite interesting, the definition of core. So basically, besides mortgage or rent, probably energy and food is the number one and number two expense of any family household. But somehow we look at it excluding that. That's like saying, look at your expenses excluding more than half of them. Seems a bit weird to me, but fine, that doesn't matter. Actually, the CPI itself declined by 0.1%, and the core CPI increased by 0.1, but it was better than expected, which is what the market wants. We put in new all-time highs across the stock market in the US, with the exception, obviously, of the Russell 2000. But the Russell 2000 had a big spike. Now, this is very relevant because in order for all the markets to keep on going forward, the Russell 2000, which represents better the real economy in the US, has been lagging and is still quite below its all-time high of, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but something like 2,425, something like that, and we are at the moment 2,131. So Mr. Harry Dent, who a couple of weeks ago predicted that the top was in for the stock market, we just put in new all-time highs in the stock market. By the way, Harry Dent also said that we would never see a new all-time high in the Japanese stock market while he was alive. Last time that I checked, he's still alive, and the Japanese stock market put in a new all-time high. Going to the other side of the camp, Peter Schiff predicted that inflation 9% June 2022 was nothing, is going to be actually a low number, that after we saw the 9%, it was going to go to double digits and keep on going and going and going. And here we are at 3%. So 67% down for the all-time high of inflation, or the local high of inflation. Once again, be very careful to the people that you listen. You see, these people don't care because Peter Schiff keeps on selling his funds to you. He keeps on getting the ad revenue on YouTube. He keeps on going into places and be paid to speak. Keeps on selling his books. So he makes his own money. The people who follow him are completely distressed. He's super excited that gold, I think, put in a nominal new all-time high, and is going completely ballistic. What he fails to tell you is that, unfortunately, he's still $300 away from a new all-time high, adjusted for the government garbage inflation data. You still need to go to 2,700 just to break even from 2011. Wow, what a motive to be celebrated. Oh, by the way, the gold stocks, the ones that he recommends to people, that's been recommended very heavily to people, it's still something like 80% down, not even inflation adjusted, from its all-time high back in 2012, which of course has been telling you to buy non-stop those stocks as they went down 85 and 90%. So if you follow this advice, congratulations, you managed to find the only assets that didn't go up in the last bull market. Does he care? No, he gets paid anyway. Now, in a more interesting subject, obviously, inflation comes down, market prices in rate cuts, bonds go down, bond yields go down, which means bond prices go up, which means green light for all the risk assets to go up. Now we are seeing some sell-off in the stock market. Of course, we've had quite the push upwards, so it's normal that we actually sell off. Gold did very well. Bitcoin and Ethereum are kind of following the rest of the market in the sense of they were very green in the beginning of the day, and they are now experiencing some red at the time of this recording. Doesn't really matter. What matters is bond market keeps on going up. Money printing will come. Will the Fed cut rates today? Who knows? Will the Fed cut rates in September or August? Most likely, yes. And that's all that matters. And I do believe as they will cut rates, the inflation numbers will actually be coming out better and better, which means that very soon we will be, I think, in the near future, when I say the near future, is potentially by 2026, late 2026, I do see interest rates being close to zero once again. We'll see if I am correct. Now, Bitcoin, very importantly, because most people are not paying attention to this, Germany is almost out of its Bitcoin. They have sensibly $750 million left. They started with 24,000 Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken, and they are down to their last 8,000 or something, which means, and this needs to be said because people don't understand it, and they think, oh, but Germany still has Bitcoin to sell, right? Yes, and that's not good, right? Because we wanted Germany to be buying. If they already sold, here's a key thing for you guys to think about, right? If they already sold, they will not be able to sell when the price is going up. Ta-da! See what I mean? When the price is going up, Germany has no more Bitcoin to sell. In fact, if Bitcoin keeps on going up quite strongly and aggressively, most likely than not, you'll have the Germans buying in back at higher prices. Just like a lot of, and they say, they will never do that. Really? A lot of the central banks sold gold at $400, $500, $600 just to buy it at $2,000. You see, these people think like us. They are not, just because they have expensive equipment behind them, they still operate under the same psychology as we do. By the way, did you know that some of the Mt. Gox coins are already being distributed and sold? Depends on what time you filed the claim, in what exchange you are, but some Bitcoin is now already being sold by the Mt. Gox holders. That's about in total $8 to $8.5 billion of sell pressure. Obviously, not everyone is going to sell their entire stack. Maybe they will sell half of it. Maybe they'll sell 2/3 of it. Who knows? It's anybody's guess. Everybody is up 70x on that. However, Ethereum doesn't have any of that problem. And actually, the ETF should be trading still in the month of July. That's the expectation. If we go into August, it's not a big deal. As long as it happens somewhere Q3 2024, which is where we are now, that's key to prepare us for Q4 2024. And there's something very important that Somi has said, and it's true. Nobody gets, I mean, for sure somebody will get it, but you'll understand. The majority of people do not retire on the Bitcoin halving year. They retire on the year after the Bitcoin halving year. Very important, people forget. People are depressed and sad because we are at the same levels that we were in February of this year, 5 months ago. That's it, not even half a year ago, less than that, and people are still depressed. You know, we went down less than 30% from the all-time high. In previous cycles, we went down close to 40% during the bull market, but people just don't pay attention. I know channels also don't talk about it because then if you see, the channels are incentivized to talk about every single day, everything like it's never happened before, and this is, oh my God, and this is the ultimate thing. Everything is the urgency and the last warning and the dire warning, and everything is like that, right? Because otherwise what they could say is, oh yeah, by the way, this is actually quite normal. It's happened in previous cycles. We should actually be out of this correction by third week of July to first half of August, somewhere around that line. You see, but the problem is they said that once and it's finished. Now they don't have content. You see, that's the problem. Now they need to find something actually useful for you. But you see, the more useful information you guys get, the less important they become, because the more educated you become, so you understand that you actually don't need them. And that's a big problem. Their goal is like the politicians, is to convince you that they're actually quite needed. No difference than the mainstream media or politicians in general. It's the same thing, is to convince you that without them, the world doesn't go round and we all, stop in time and everything is finished. That's their goal. One thing that I've seen very few people mentioning it is that the FTX holders will receive in quarter 4 2024 $16 billion in USDC. Ooh, people forgot about that. Not in Bitcoin to sell. They will get from the FTX procedures, holders will get $16.16 billion, about twice the size of the Mt. Gox holders, twice the amount in USDC. Now, what will happen if, and these are all people, of course, in the crypto space, they understand where we are in the cycle, they understand all that. How many people do you think, how much of those 16 billion do you think is going to get converted into Bitcoin or Ethereum? I don't know. I think it's the same question that you can ask how much of the Bitcoin that the Mt. Gox holders get will be sold on the market. We don't know. What we know is that one is double the size of the other. That we know. So you see, but the issue is nobody's talking about it because prices are still below 60,000. Prices are still going down. Did you know that the ETFs actually net bought 244 million and 145 million the day before in dollars? Nobody knows. Why? Because the price is going down, so it's not being picked up. You see, but this is the problem. This is when those sellers get exhausted. One of them is almost exhausted, which is Germany. Will probably be exhausted before the end of next week. Okay, that guy is out. The DOJ has already been selling, doesn't have that much to sell. That will be out. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust already sold more than half of their holdings. They seem to be quite stable now. Maybe they are getting out as well. And Mt. Gox holders will also be out. But you see, if the big sellers are out, who's left? The buyers. So all this negativity that's been around Mt. Gox for 10 years and Germany selling, all of these clouds will be left off. And don't forget, the market looks forward. What do you think is going to happen? It's anybody's guess now, isn't it? Now, as I've mentioned before, sometimes I try to clinch a narrative and then try to buy low and then eventually sell high. I've told you in my previous video, I got in back at BirdDog, the 0x70 address at somewhere between 800, 900K market cap. Now, I already made a lot of money in that coin. So even if my $1,000 would go to zero, I would still be in profit massively. But I did put $1,000 between 800 and 900K. And now the market cap is already 1.67 million. So I already almost got a 2x in under a week in the middle of all this selling. You see, this is what I try to do, which is I try to capture the narrative. And then my goal is buy low, hold it if I have more reasons to believe in it, or sell high if I'm not really sure about the coin, which is the case. I don't know exactly. I think probably this is my last $1,000 because I already made $12,000, $13,000 on this coin. So I'm already happy. So let's say that my $1,000 go to zero. I'm willing to take that risk. So I'll probably just let it fly until the end of the bull market. Would I do this if I hadn't sold before? No. I'm doing this now because I really don't care what's going to happen by the time we get, so basically now I'm playing with house money. That's my point. You see, a lot of things are moving in the background, but it's not being discussed because the prices are still somewhat subdued. So people don't pay attention to it. But there's going to be a time where the prices will be green, and then all of a sudden people say exactly what I'm saying, right? But you see, the thing is, what I'm saying right now, it's happening now. But people are just not paying attention because the candles are red. So they need to come up with excuses and reasons and justifications and so on. And the more the prices dropped, the more predictions of Bitcoin 40K bull market over. You see, exactly as we potentially have seen the bottom. Funny how it happens every single time. Now that these channels are all getting bearish, probably we've hit the bottom. By the time they are all bullish and they will try to convince you how Bitcoin will replace the US dollar within 6 months, probably it's time to get out. But we are very far away from it. Retail is still not here. I think Coinbase app is like number 286. in the list of more apps more downloaded. We are way far away from the top 10. So retail is still not here. And with that, guys, I'll leave you be. Thank you very much for your support, and I'll catch you in the next one.